Well, we're interrupting our regular programming, and that is because the big story is coming in from the National Spot Exchange. The NSCL will clear payout of 177 crore rupees to small investors. Remember, today is the second payout obligation that the NSCL was to have met. Till last night, it looked like they were headed to a default because all they had been able to garner was a little over 12 crore rupees. But today, what we are given to understand, and this is what the NSCL has just put out, that the total payout would amount to 190 crore rupees. They will clear the payout of 177.23 crore rupees to small investors. This is the big story. How have they managed to bridge the deficit? How have they managed to get all of this money together? Because till late last night, and in fact even till about 4 o'clock this afternoon, the information that we were getting from our sources was that they had been able to amass only about 12 crore rupees. But this is the big story. Let me go across very quickly to my colleague Varinder Bansal. Varinder, a complete turn of events there. NSCL saying it will clear out payout of 177 crore rupees to small investors. Where did the money suddenly come from?
Yeah, that's the most important point. Well, the press release clearly says that NSCL has availed a bridge loan from FTIL, the promoter company, to make these payments aggregating 177 crores. The bigger question still remains, that the millers or the processors, whether they have paid the money or not. This clearly says that it is not the processors or millers where we were expecting the money come from, and at least till 6:30 it was evident that it was only 12.6 crores which was there in the escrow account. Now what it is saying that it is the bridge loan which has come from FTL, and hence that total money paid to the investors is worth nearly 177 crores for this weekly settlement. And so a helping hand from FTL.
Varinder, do we know the bridge loan amount that FTIL is going to be providing?
The entire 177 crores.
So all of it comes from FTIL.
Exactly. That's a big thing to watch out in this, because the entire money comes from FTIL. So again, the bigger question remains that the processors or millers which were, and most of them, or 8 or 9 of them, have been already declared defaulters, whether they are paying the money or not. So is this payout of the entire 175 or 177 crores of the weekly settlement process is one-off event which is taking place because of the bridge loan, or whether this bridge loan facility from FTL could continue going ahead or not?
Just hang on, Varinder. We'll get more answers to those questions, but let's quickly get in reactions. Motilal Oswal joins us. Thanks very much for joining us. This is the big breaking story at this point in time. We understand that the NSCL will pay out over 177 crore rupees, and that is on account of a bridge loan that has been provided to them by FTIL. Your quick reaction.
I think we had suggested to NSCL as well as to FMC that whatever payment really is coming should be made in the proportionate to the capital, rather than really being discriminated on the basis of small investors or big investors. The small investor doesn't mean that they put in small money into I think the NSCL, because we have huge number of big customers also who have put in small money. So we think that this is not fair, this is not transparent, and it may lead into a lot of litigation.
So you're saying that this is not fair, what they have arrived at, because they intend to clear the settlement or clear the dues as far as the small investors are concerned, and you have not gotten any further clarity on what the road ahead looks like for guys like you?
Absolutely, Shane, because I think, as I said, that it's really, I think, not clear who are the small guys and who are the big guys. And I think they are trying to actually get out of the litigation, because they feel that there are a huge number of small investors. If they pay them well, then they may not push any kind of voice in media or in the legal cases. But I think they will be proved wrong.
Varinder, just hang in there, because I want to get you to give us the details. What I'm given to understand is that they will pay out to 608 small investors. Can you take us through the details of that?
Surely. The details are that up to 2 lakh rupees will be paid to 608 investors, and 6,380 investors will be paid anywhere between 1 lakh to 2 lakh rupees. As Mr. Motilal is clearly saying that before the settlement started, it was decided that it will be pro rata basis. Now the entire emphasis is being given on paying to the small investors, and then this could create a major problem for bigger investors or the entire investors community, which has been.
But sure, hang in there, Varinder. Mr. Oswal, does it not give you at least some hope that if they are now starting to clear the dues to smaller investors, perhaps you could be next in line?
I don't think so, Serene, because I think they want to buy first, I think, some kind of sympathy from the government or from maybe the large number of small investors. So that would be my view on that. Second thing is that the way things are being really misled, I think this is a completely big fraud by NSCL and its official, because stocks are not there. The money has been lent to the people who have no capabilities. Money has been siphoned off from the system. So I don't see when we look at the developments that they will be able to pay the whole money.
Barinder, go ahead.
Mr. Motilal, one important question here. The statement clearly says that the amount of that entire 177 crores came from the bridge loan from FTIL. In any conversation with any party, were you even told that FTL will provide any kind of funding to give this loan or to repay to investors? And second, do you think that any warehouse person or miller or processor has actually given any money in this weekly settlement in this out of 177 crores?
I think mill owners may have paid very small money. That's really my feel, because the whole system has really crashed there. They don't know from where to recover money. They don't know where the stock is.
Yeah.
They don't know what is the process to be followed. And as far as the money coming as bridge loan, as I said, that we had only suggested that at least FT group can make some bridge loan, but that money should be paid to the people on proportionate basis.
Sure, and that hasn't happened. Mr. Oswal, I'm going to request you to just hang in there for a second. Let me get Nirmal Jain of IIFL into this conversation. Nirmal, we were expecting and anticipating a default, but they have now said officially that they are paying out 177 crore rupees, and this is on account of a bridge loan being provided by FTIL, but the money will be paid to about 608 small investors. Your first reactions?
Hello?
Nirmal, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hello?
Nirmal, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, I was just telling you that the latest is that the NSCL has said they will clear 177 crore rupees. So there is no default situation today, which was what was anticipated. But they are going to pay this money only to 608 small investors. So you're still left high and dry.
No, I see. In fact, the people's expectations have gone so low that whatever has come is, at least one should heave a sigh of relief that at least small investors are taken care of. But I don't know why only 608, because small investors, I think that 5% of money would have taken care of 50% of investors.
We were just having a conversation with Mr. Oswal, and he's on the phone line with us as well. He doesn't share your opinion that this is actually a sense of relief. He believes that this is another blow as far as large investors like yourself and Mr. Oswal are concerned, and that litigation is perhaps the only route forward. Your take?
No, okay, let me in fact clarify this, that last time the first installment also did not come in full. So people weren't expecting that money will be there in the second weekly installment. But if they got 170, 180, 190 crores, then at least, vis-a-vis expectations, something has happened. But the fact remains that, the amount is very large and people are not able to see where the entire money will come from.
That is the question. Where is this money going to come from, Nirmal? Because, if this is a bridge loan that has been provided by FTIL surely cannot be providing loans to NSCL practically every week to clear out these over 5,000 crore rupees.
Where the money will come from is a question. The answer will lie in where the money has gone. And I think what the authorities need to do is trace the money trail and find out where the money is. I mean, has it been blown up or has it been converted into certain assets like real estate? And we need to, the authorities need to seize them and realize them. I mean, there's the only way to get the money back. I think even after 25, 26 days of the crisis, people are clueless that where the money has gone. I mean, it's quite funny in a way, but it's not at all a happy situation.
Before I toss it to Sajid, Nirmal, very quickly, the FT stock has been extremely volatile. Yesterday we saw it surge. Today we saw it fall about 8% How do you see the stock markets reacting to this news of FTIL providing the bridge loan?
The stock market may be looking at change in management and ownership, and so they may be looking at the book value or certain other parameters. So stock market is always very volatile and can swing with various news flows. So I can't comment on that.
Okay, Sajid, go ahead.
There are a couple of pointers which is coming out here. What NACL is trying to address here is that they are reaching out to 7,000 investors. Now that's nearly 50% of the total investor base which is affected by the NACL crisis here. If you look at the breakup, 608 investors who will get entire money up to 2 lakhs, and the remaining 6,380 investors will get 50% of the amount, and these investors have exposure between 2 and 10 lakhs. So, and I'm told by NACL that the total investor base which is affected by this crisis is nearly 13,000 crores. So what we are looking at is nearly 50% of the investor base which they are trying to address. Another point which I got to know from them was that in the last couple of days, when the brokers have had meeting with Jignesh Shah and NACL, Jignesh Shah had offered to give 10 lakhs per investor as initial amount to settle the claim, or to give a token amount to all the investors. Now that was rejected by all the brokers, especially in the brokers meet which happened yesterday. That proposal was put out, and Anand Rathi and other brokers were also present there, and they rejected that proposal that Jignesh was trying to give of 10 lakh rupees per investor. So that's one thing which I need to bring out here. The settlement calendar, this is over and above the settlement calendar. So the third or the second payout has failed. You have 12.6 crores which they have paid out as part of the second payout obligation. This is over and above the second payout obligation, where the bridge loan from financial technologies has been used to pay up the small investors. So there are two separate things parallelly going. We need to see how the Forward Markets Commission is going to react to this thing, because this is over and above the settlement calendar which was submitted to the Forward Market Commission.
Okay, Sajid, just hang on there. We've also got Preeti Gupta of Anand Rathi Commodities joining us. Preeti, if you've just heard what Sajid is saying, that they've managed to pay 177 crore rupees on account of that bridge loan that's been facilitated by FTIL, but there continue to be no answers in terms of what happens to the large investors and their exposure.
Yeah, I think this looks like a very, strategic play by NSCL. As you know, I'm very happy for our smaller investors to have at least got some amount of money back. But if you look at it from, one, that it is a loan from FTIL, and we would be very happy if FTIL were to continue in the same way and pay out the entire money that NSCL owes to the investors, because at the end of the day, FTIL is the promoter of NSCL. Having said that, I think it obviously, in the series of the way things have been happening, when we were initially told that it will be a pro rata distribution to all the investors, this again has gone offline. We were not told, we were not informed that this is the way of method of payment, and this is what we're hearing is still from you. We have not yet heard from the exchange or the FMC that this is what is going to, this is how the payment is going to come out. So I think looking at it from our perspective, it's again, that unending series of the way that NSCL has been conducting the entire, whether it is the borrowers, the risk management, now the payout. So, it is a big question mark as to going forward, how are things going to pan out. And like you rightly said, I think not just, even the investors who may have 10 lakhs and 15 lakhs or 50 lakhs or 50 crores, it's still a question mark for them that how does the next payout happen and what is going to happen, because obviously decisions that were taken earlier are not being adhered to.
Preeti, one question from my side. This is Varinder. I just wanted to check one small thing. When we heard that Jignesh Shah had given this plan to most of the brokers of settling the smaller investors first and offering them 10 lakh as a token amount, but the broker community has actually went against it and had not approved the plan. We hear that Anand Rathi, among the big brokers, was one of them who had not approved the plan of paying to the small brokers. Can you confirm the same, whether it was or not? Because this goes against the pro rata settlement which was advised by FMC in the first meeting.
this is not the right information that you've got. I think all we've said time and again is that we are happy with whatever the FMC decides, because FMC was monitoring the settlement process. We are very happy for them to take a step or a decision on as to how the payment needs to be made, taking in account that the investor base is very large and there are all types of investors, ensuring that there is no litigation going forward, ensuring that there is smooth payment or payout to all the investors across. And there was, to my mind, no such proposal saying that we should that he's ready to pay the smaller investors and not the larger, or any such proposal which was rejected by anybody, including all the other brokers like Motilal Ji or Nilmal Jain or anybody. So I think that is a misnomer, and I think we are very willing, and we've been coordinating efforts with the FMC continuously, saying that whatever they decide in the best interest of all investors is what should be done.
Preeti, just to give us a sense of it, we have 608 investors who will be paid up to 2 lakhs. Now, what are the kind of contracts that come under 2 lakhs on the NSCL? Can you give us some idea of it? Which contracts are we talking about? Investors who have invested in which kind of contracts will be paid out first?
Sorry, I didn't understand. What do you mean by what kind of contract?
In the sense, which commodity contracts we are talking about here when we are talking about contracts which are sub 2 lakhs?
Well, again, like I said, it is really not commodity specific anymore, because the exchange had decided to merge all settlements and all payouts together. So irrespective of whatever commodity, and again, I think it may be right to say that at this point in time, especially people who've invested into NSCL, it may be wrong to actually say that because you've invested in pepper or because you've invested in paddy, you will get your money back. So I think irrespective of commodity right now, which commodity, what is your payout date, all of that is immaterial as far as this payout goes.
Okay, Preeti, just hang in there. We've also got Alok Churiwala of the BSE Brokers Forum joining us. Mr. Churiwala, appreciate you joining us. This is the news at this point in time. The NSCL has said that they will pay out 177 crore rupees, and that money they have managed to get on account of a bridge loan provided by FTIL. There are no further details on the next payout and how they intend to get money for the next payout. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, clearly a feeling of mixed reaction over here. Happy that some money is finally coming through, but unhappy the way the distribution is proposed. Clearly this is a masterstroke by the perpetrators of, shall I say, this fiasco, that they are now trying to create a rift between the investors, and clearly it is being brought out, and a divide between the small investors and large investors is what is being sought to done. Any distribution, it was agreed upon earlier, had to be equitable and fair, and just by playing that emotional card of small investors, I think is patently unfair, and the FMC should give a strong, hard look to it.
Sajid, I want you to come in on that, because that's the point that everyone, whether it's Motilal Oswal, Nirmal Jain, Preeti or Alok Churiwala, they're all making this point about this being a strategic masterstroke, because if you decide and you actually start off by clearing the dues to small investors, I'll get Varinder to comment on that. Then you in a sense quell a lot of the criticism and a lot of the flack that is coming, Jignesh Shah's way. Varinder.
Well, both the points, there are two important points actually, which have come up after this press release. One is, of course, the small investors bait, what has been given to the market. And second, of course, is the bridge loan, which is coming from FTIL. No one anticipated this bridge loan coming in. And, I still remember FMC, Mr. Ramesh, Abhishek coming and clearly telling that it will be a pro rata allotment or, money which will be given to most of the investors. And this sense what they're getting and the way it's getting funded, it's just not the way it was proposed. It's just happening the way, whichever way it comes, whichever way the money comes, just pay the way it will make people happy. As Sajid rightly pointed, one important point, that what FTL is trying to do right now is focus on the majority of the investors and make them satisfied. If out of the 13,000-14,000 people, you are paying them around 7,000 investors their money back, so they have to take lesser number of people, into the account in terms of paying more money. But, this system, the way it is not even propagated by what FMC decided earlier, or even with whatever the talks were with the investor forum or the brokers community. It's just the way, NSCL is deciding itself, the way it was deciding how the, exchange will be running from the beginning.
Preeti, so what from here on? Because it's clear that the NSCL has decided to do what the NSCL wants to do. It doesn't matter what the FMC has said or what was actually discussed with the FMC or with the investor forum. What from here?
Well, I think it's just a very strong signal for the FMC and for the government to take note of this, that, going forward, if this is the way, then that actually means that with an exchange failing to meet its responsibility, it will actually go ahead and do what it feels like doing, and therefore what is the sanctity of any exchange here until unless the FMC and the government steps in and says that, there have to be a certain, like I said, they have been flaying entire norms of risk management, etc., and going forward payout now. So I think it's a big question mark, and I think it's a very strong signal saying that this situation needs to be taken immediate control of.
Just hang in there, Preeti, because we do have our colleague Astha Maheshwari joining us now. Astha has been trying to speak with the FMC. Astha, how is the FMC reacting to the payout that the NSCL has decided to do?
Well, honestly, FMC, it seemed from the tone of the FMC chairman's voice, he seemed that there is a relief that payout has come in. The second week payout is around 190 crore rupees. Although he's saying that this is apart from the main settlement plan, since this has come out from FTIL and it comes under the purview of market regulator SEBI, that way FMC chairman, a prior requirement or approval from the FMC chairman is something that is not required. What they are saying, what the chairman did tell us is that this is a separate process, and now things will be, action will be in Delhi, committees have been framed, and now things will go on. Further processes will take place in Delhi.
Astha, the two committees that have been set up to look at the regulatory oversight issue that the finance minister spoke about this morning is a separate matter. But how is the FMC reacting to the fact that the NSCL has decided to do its own thing and chart out its own course as far as the payment is concerned and not go by what was actually agreed upon with the FMC and the investor forum? Were there any comments coming in from the FMC on that?
No, not really. The FMC chairman just told that, he is relieved that, okay, the second week payout has happened, although he does not know how the future week payouts will take place, what sort of a part, what will NSCL do in the coming few weeks. He did say that this is completely apart from the settlement process, and this is for smaller investors, so you have to take this as a separate thing, and it is SEBI at this point of time which will be looking and approving this kind of thing. So he sort of try to distance himself from commenting much on this statement that came out with NSCL and this big step.
Had the NSCL informed the FMC about this plan of action? Did you get any?
Absolutely.
They had?
Yeah, they have informed, and FMC chairman did say that...
no, I'm saying prior to taking this course of action, was the FMC kept in the loop? Was the FMC given any information by NSCL that this is what they propose to do?
Well, talking to the FMC chairman today, he did not mention that, whether there was there's some sort of a commitment, something that had been, some communication that had taken place between the two. But he clearly, today, he maintained a tone, he distanced himself from this entire situation at this point in time.
All right, Astha, thanks very much for joining us. Preeti, you want to react to what we are being told and the comments and the reactions that are coming in from the FMC on this matter?
Well, like I said, we have, and I think Alok put it very well, that we have a master strategist here, but, who is obviously working in self-interest and not in the interest of the market. And I think it's time that, the government and the officials take notice of this and put it right, because, like I said, we are relieved that some money is coming, but obviously it is not coming from the borrowers, and if we are very happy if FTIL continues to make these, give these loans to NSCL and pay out all the investors as it rightfully should, because it has that responsibility towards all the people who've invested on NSCL.
Barinder?
Shireen, one also important thing is that I was just checking what is the cash and cash equivalent on FT's book, okay. it stands at nearly 1470 crores. So maybe in the coming years, because FY13, they are sitting on some cash on the books, nearly 1500 crores, you could see some more bridge loan coming from FT, which is an assumption because of the money what they have on the books. But the important thing is that, is it taking an eye away from actually, what the boroughs are doing in repaying back the money or not, which point Preeti was also mentioning. But they have that small amount of money which could take care for the next few weeks or so. But again, there's a lot of uncertainty which remains what will happen in the next payouts, regarding.
And it raises corporate governance issues as well, Varinder, doesn't it?
Very, very true. Very true, Shireen. It does, clearly.
Alok, you just heard what our colleague Astha Maheshwari had to say in terms of the reactions that have come in from the FMC chairman. There seems to be, in Astha's words, a sense of the FMC distancing itself from the proposed plan that has now been made public by the NSCL. This morning we heard from the finance minister saying that 2 committees had been set up to look at the NSCL matter. They anticipate a report in the next 15 days or so. What do you make of this?
No, clearly, I think it is early days for FMC to actually issue any reaction, and I would give them a long rope over there, because clearly they will take some time before they let out an official reaction, but a strong reaction will definitely come. At the same time, we are also enthused by the fact that the government in New Delhi is taking things in the right spirit, and the 2 high-powered committees that have been formed are really going to look at this matter. And it is. Are
you really hopeful, Alok, of anything of any substance emerging from that? Go ahead.
It is, in fact, these committees that has prompted this bridge loan now, because nothing has materially changed in FT's position or the position of NSCL. It is only after the formation of one such committee has the management of the exchange decided to go in for a bridge loan by a company that owns 99.9% of NSCL. So please understand, it is that action that has prompted this bridge loan to come about, and to diffuse pressure on them, they have decided to sort of create a rift amongst investing public. And at the cost of repetition, this is clearly unequitable and perhaps not the fairest of measures.
Absolutely. Mr. Oswal, would you want to comment on that? The view coming in there from Alok is that this action has been prompted by the fact that the government finally seems to have taken cognizance. The government has set up those 2 committees to look into the NSCL matter, and the finance minister this morning went public with the fact that action will be taken after those 2 reports are submitted at the end of 15 days.
I don't know what will be the view of those committees, because it's too early for, I don't think so even they may have met. But Shireen, I would like to point out one comforting point here, that yesterday I think we are all hearing all kind of rumors that I think on the same lines that small investors may be given some kind of money over big investors, and both brokers as well as investors association said in the same voice that it should be equitable distribution rather than really on the basis of size. And it was a view which we had forwarded to FMC, and I think they also were of the same view since beginning that it should be equitable. So I think somewhere they're definitely trying to have their own kind of strategy and thoughts. And my sense is that they may not have consulted the FMC as they have been doing earlier. Also, they are taking their own decisions in their own way, despite the FMC being really, I think, given the charge. And they also consult the brokers as well as investors, who are the big stakeholders today in this hour of crisis.
Yeah, I just want to read out the statement coming in from the FMC chairman. He's spoken with our colleague Astha Maheshwari. The FMC chairman has said the settlement is not part of the regular cycle. It is FT's board decision to make a payment of 177 crore rupees. The settlement default in regular cycle continues. The deficit still exists. Alok.
So clearly, the person behind NSCL as far as we are concerned is Jignesh. The person behind FT as far as we are concerned is Mr. Jignesh. So, FT board taking decision, and I really don't know what to make out of it. So like I said, this is a canard being spread, and clearly a red herring to divert attention from the real issue. Which in fact makes it too two settlement defaults if you're saying that this is over and above the regular settlement process. So we are looking at two settlement defaults. So what is the sanctity?
That is the clarification that has come in from the FMC chairman. He has said the settlement default in the regular cycle continues, and this is over and above that the deficit still exists. Alok.
So, like I said, clearly, this is a red herring to divert attention from the real issue. The concern as to where our future payments going to come from continues to remain. And clearly, like I said, it is a bit to create a rift between small investors and large investors.
Mr. Oswal, you were talking about litigation. What is the plan of action from here on?
I think definitely we are working on litigation as one of the options. We are also in dialogue with the exchange as well as with FMC to see that at least the money part...
But given the fact that they have decided to take this course of action where they are at least starting to repay small investors, or at least part of the small investors, do you believe that you will put those plans of taking litigation forward on the back burner till you hear more details on the future course?
I don't know really. We need to give thought and we need to meet our own colleagues and investors and need to see their voices. So it's too early for us to comment whether we'll do some kind of litigation. But one point I would like to request you through your through CNBC that we strongly recommend the FT board to become much more, I would say, accommodating, and if they can really give more bridge loan, because they are capable of giving more and more bridge loans, so that all the investors they get their money, because at the end of the day they own this company and they have been part of I would say managing or mismanaging the whole affair, so they have to take responsibility, and if they should be more kind of, I think, generous to give more and more money to all the investors.
Varinder, you've been looking at the balance sheet. How generous can they afford to be if the FT board does decide to go down that road?
Sherin, I was just laughing at what Mr. Motilal was saying. I still remember the first day when all of them met with FMC and all the brokers. At that day, NSEL clearly gave a plan to the brokers community, and FMC stating that by early September there are eight millers who will be paying 2,200 crores. Now, where we stand, it's only nearly 220 or 230 crores which has come, and out of that 180 crores have actually come from FT. So whatever they promised or envisaged, 2,200 crores, it's only 50 crores which has come from the millers associations. So what are we talking about? The actual problem still remains on the ground of whether those brokers or whether those millers have the stocks in the warehouses or not. If they have...
They don't. Clearly they don't.
Exactly.
That doesn't...
So if they have, they pay back money to these guys. But that has nothing been happening in the last 1 month since the time most of these, Motilal ji, Nirmal Jain, Anand Rathi, every one of them met these people in Trident, So nothing has culminated in that 1 month, and now there is something new angle which is coming of bridge loan which is being coming.
Yeah.
And I really don't know how much it will help out of the 5,500 crores where the cash in the books for FT is only 1,500 crores with the working capital required, to run that, exchange business, which they have 9 exchanges in India and worldwide.
Yeah, Preeti, just come in on what Varinder was pointing out. Essentially, we're still sitting with exactly the same problem. We've actually made no progress as far as the core problem or the chronic malaise is concerned, or the chronic disease is concerned. This is, as Alok was pointing out, perhaps a distraction away from that.
Absolutely. Shirin, if you look at the numbers, we were looking at a 5% per week payout, or a 3%, which, came down to 3%. So 174 crores, out of which, only 12 crores have actually come in from the borrowers. Now, this is a big question mark. And I think the issue here is what's happened to the money? Why is it not recoverable? Are they not able to recover even 175 crores per week from people who borrowed 5,500 crores? And therefore, the money trail, where has this money gone and how is it going to come back, is probably the most important issue here. And that is what we are all interested in. At the end of the day, we all know, we've all seen FT's balance sheet, and we are very happy if they are able to repay this entire 5,500 crores. I don't think anybody has an issue, but the crisis still remains, and today, to my mind, it deepens, because if they are not even able to recover, 175 crores, which they are supposed to every week from their borrowers, then it's a very big question mark on how they will continue for the rest of the cycles ahead.
Just hang on, Preeti. We've got the FMC chairman, Mr. Ramesh Abhishek, joining us. Mr. Abhishek, many thanks for joining us. While I believe that there is a sense of relief on account of this payment, but the fact of the matter is that the problem has not been addressed, and essentially they have defaulted for a second time, is it not?
Yes, they have. Actually, in the normal payout process, only about 12 crores have been are going to be paid out today. So yes, they have defaulted again.
Mr. Abhishek, were you given any information by Jignesh Shah or by the NSCL that this was going to be the plan that they would put in action? Because this is not what was decided between you, them and the investor forum, I'm given to understand.
See, this, we understand that this loan has been given by FTIL to NSCL for paying some people. It's outside our settlement plan. And because our plan was to do the pro rata payouts, and so this payment seems to have been done outside the escrow account and not as per our supervision.
So you have no way of getting involved in this issue. You're saying that this does not come under your jurisdiction because it was not part of the proposed plan that had been agreed upon. So you can take no action on this particular plan.
No, this, see, as per the agreed settlement plan, which is being supervised by us, only 12 crores are being paid out today, roughly 12 crores. And this has been done by NSCL outside the plan with some loan from FTIL, it seems.
But Mr. Abhishek, what is going to be your course of action? You gave them a warning after they defaulted the first time. They've defaulted with a second time. What is going to be your course of action from here on, sir? There's been 2 consecutive defaults. It doesn't matter what they've decided to do outside of the payment plan that had been approved by you.
See, now that there is a special team and working groups framed by Ministry of Finance, and it is going to meet soon, and then we'll take a view on that.
So you're saying that you are going to take no further action as of today, even though the NSCL is defaulted for the second time. You will now wait for the 2 committees that have been set up by the government to take a call on what they intend to do with the NSCL.
See, this committee and this special team and working groups have been formed very recently, and I'm sure they're going to meet soon in a day or 2, and then we'll take a call on that.
But Mr. Abhishek, you are the current regulator, sir, and they have defaulted for the second time consecutively. So as the regulator, do you not intend taking any action?
See, we are not the regulator for the spot exchange, as you know. And so far as we are regulating the future exchanges, we are not regulating spot exchanges.
Yes, but you were asked to by the government, by the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, to take charge of this situation.
See, if you see the notification of 6th August issued by the ministry, we are supposed to supervise the settlement process. Now, settlement process supervision has specific components that we see whether exchange is following its bylaws for pay-in and payouts.
But it isn't, and it hasn't for the second straight time, Mr. Abhishek.
That's correct. So that is why we have a specific team now in the Ministry of Finance with all the members from the relevant organizations looking into it, and what action is to be taken is to be decided there now.
Mr. Abhishek, this is Ajit here. What kind of action will you be taking on the fit and proper issue? Because even though you are saying that the settlement which they are doing, or the secondary settlement which they are doing, is outside the purview of FMC. What is inside the purview of FMC is the second payout obligation, where they have only paid 12.6 crores, and which means that they have defaulted on the second payout obligation. Will now the FMC come in and put a fit and proper test on the directors and promoters of NSCL?
See, this issue of fit and proper doesn't concern only the commodity futures market. It concerns other markets also, where there are many exchanges with the same promoter. I think with this new special team being formed and the working groups being formed in the Ministry of Finance, I think we'll take a view on that, and it has to be a uniform and coordinated view, I guess.
Mr. Abhishek, this is Varinder. I have a very simple question. Investors are asking for money. There are only 3 ways the money can come back. Either it could be via the FT group, or either the Millers Association pays back. Have you got a chance in the last 1 month to look at the stocks in the warehouse by yourself or any agency? Have you noted it down that out of that 6,200 crores what they mentioned earlier on the first day, how much, stocks are there in the warehouse which could be paid back? Because in the last two, weekly settlements, there is nothing actually which has come back to the investors via that warehouse on what everyone was relying on.
Yes, as you know, this is the part of the settlement process. We had asked them to auction the goods in the custody of their warehouses. I mean, they have not done that yet. So we are waiting for compliance. They seem to have filed some cases now in the EOW, and they have informed us about that. We are examining all these documents and information, and then we will be going to the special team formed by the ministry and making these reports, and the view will be taken there after proper examination.
So, Mr. Abhishek, just before we wrap up, my final question to you. You're essentially saying that despite the fact that the NSCL has defaulted on its payment obligations, as per your supervision and as per what was agreed with the FMC, you will take no action against the NSCL. It will now depend on what the two committees set up by the government of India, that will decide the future course of action. But you, the FMC, will not take any action against the NSCL for defaulting the second time around.
See, let me repeat. The issue of fit and proper doesn't confine to simply the futures market in commodities. They also have other exchanges in other markets. They have in stock market. They have in electricity market. So a view has to be taken uniformly. So this team has been formed to coordinate actions. So we will do that soon.
Mr. Ramesh, does it mean that that for the next 15 days, that's the time frame which the finance minister mentioned, that the committee will come out with a report on the entire NSCL issue, the exchange will continue to default for the next 2 weeks also?
What is going to happen in the next 2 weeks by the exchange, that I cannot predict. But a specific now team has been formed for this purpose. It's a multi-agency team, a pretty high-power team too. I think that the team will be doing its work in the next few days. So we'll wait for that.
But Mr. Abhishek, it seems fairly certain that they will default, because if you look at what has come in, it's only 12 crore rupees. The 177 is come in from FT. By all accounts, and you yourself commented on that on our channel, there doesn't seem to be the corresponding stock in the warehouses. So, the question is, what happens from here on? And that continues to be open-ended because we haven't got any answers. And as the FMC, no action has been taken on that front.
What action we have taken is already in public domain, and so far as the supervising settlement is concerned, because of all these concerns that you are mentioning on warehouses and other problems, that's why this high-power special team has been formed with very components and membership from very important organizations. I think that is why the government has taken this action.
All right, Mr. Abhishek, we will leave it there. Appreciate you joining us. That's Ramesh Abhishek, the chairman of the FMC, saying essentially that though the NSCL has defaulted for the second consecutive time, there's not going to be anything that the FMC can or will do. It will now be incumbent on the two committees that have been set up by the government of India that the finance minister spoke about this morning. We anticipate those reports to come in over the next 15 days. And on that basis, perhaps the future course of action will be decided. But the big headline at this point in time is that FT has given a bridge loan to NSCL, 177 crore rupees. That is being used to pay off small investors, the big investors, the Motilal Oswals, Nirmal Jains of the world, up in arms, saying that a rift has been created between investors by the NSCL, and this of course is not part of the proposed plan. So the NSCL has defaulted for the second time on its payment obligations. We will have to take a break here. When we return on What's Hot, we will take this conversation forward and wrap up all the day's top stories. Thanks for watching.